Hi, everyone. This is Father James, and just wanting to do a quick live stream to just go live to make it some important announcements. I just finished Mass over at the church with Connor Atkinson and his family. He received First Communion today, and amid the frustration that is the reality of COVID-19, there are these beautiful moments that can emerge when we are able to celebrate First Holy Communion. So congratulations, Connor, and also to all of our kids who will be receiving First Communion, and also for our confirmandi, our confirmation kids who will be confirmed in the weeks to come. I'm still waiting to hear if we'll be given permission for that. And as soon as we get that information, for those of you who are confirmation families, we'll get that information to you quickly. Now, for parishioners of St. Olaf, I've heard that some of you have received the letter today that I had written. And so therefore, just to reiterate, a week from tomorrow, so June 14th, I believe that is. Let me just double check my calendar here to make sure I'm giving the proper information here. So yes, Sunday, June 14th, St. Olaf will start to offer public mass again, which I'm very excited about. As I've been home now for 3 weeks from sabbatical, I feel healthy, I feel good, and I can't wait to see everybody and to start celebrating Mass again. As you may have read in the letter, or if you've heard from other parishes that are celebrating Mass right now, there are some temporary restrictions that are being placed. And so I just wanted in this video to reiterate some of the things to keep in mind. And also, I see a couple of you have jumped online. If you have questions for me or clarifications for me, feel free to type them in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer those questions as part of this live stream. So first of all, the Mass schedule. After consulting with the staff, I've decided to, for temporarily, we will not have a Saturday night Mass at 5. The reason being is that for weddings or funerals, I want to reserve Saturday morning and Saturday for those type of events, because the whole idea is that to properly sanitize the space, we have it set up in the church with spacing, so we only will have to sanitize once after all the masses are done. And if we added a Saturday mass, that would get the sanitizing process a little bit more complicated, and we really have to enlist the help of some more parishioners to volunteer to sanitize the space. Now, that being said, if there are some parishioners who would be willing to volunteer to be part of a sanitization, not a sanitation crew, our bathrooms are doing fine, but sanitization to help with that, feel free to contact us, because right now Andrea she does a wonderful job cleaning our church, but she's it. And so therefore, if we're going to start having the Saturday night Mass, we're going to need some help with that. But for next week, we'll have two Masses, Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. on the 14th. And we will have 80. We're allowed 25% building capacity, and 80 is actually a little bit below 25%. But in talking with some of the other priests who have opened up Mass and have started celebrating Mass already, it seems like 80 would be the top number right now. At first, that might make us feel a little glum, thinking only 80 people show up for Mass. Remember, we still have COVID-19. And what that tells me as a pastor, people are still being cautious, which is a good thing. And I want to reiterate in this live stream that if you don't feel ready to come back for health reasons, that's completely fine. The bishop has still lifted the obligation to come to Mass on Sundays. If you're feeling healthy and you want to come back, you can. I'll explain a little bit more of what that process will be as we move forward. But again, I want to emphasize, if you feel the need to stay home, it's completely fine to stay home, and there's no reason that you should feel pressure to come if you just don't feel ready or maybe you're a little sick. Or the other thing is I put in the letter that the bishop has asked is that certain high risk groups that if they get coronavirus, it would have a very adverse effect on them, are encouraged to stay home too. So that would be typically people who are over 65 or people with pre-existing health conditions. Now, let's say that you're somebody who is 65 or over and you're thinking, but Father, I'm in good health. I'd really like to go to Mass. Give me a call and we can talk about that in terms of where that feeling is at, and we'll kind of discuss that on a case by case level if you want to have that discussion with me. Now, when you come to Mass, as I put in the letter, we're going to be using different doors for coming into the church and the side. There's fire doors on the side of the church on either side, on the east side and the west side. Those doors will be open 20 minutes before Mass. We would ask you to directly come into the church through those doors. The doors we typically use as our entries will become our temporary fire doors. So you will not be able to get in through our regular doors, but you will be able to get out, God forbid, in the event of emergency. We're not going to be using our gathering space, sadly, because our gathering space, we were asked not to congregate before or after Mass. And for St. Olaf, that's going to be really hard because we're a community. We so value that time of connectedness as a community in that gathering space after Mass, especially. That'll be tough. But remember, this is just temporary. This isn't now and forever. This is just, let's get through this COVID-19 stuff, and then we can go back to life as normal as we move that. We will have markings on the floor, so there's still access to the bathrooms and so forth, but you can't use the gathering space as a cry room. You can't sit in that gathering space area. And we've removed the tables and the chairs. Again, it's that whole idea of trying to limit contact for the short term. We'll be back in the gathering space again in the future. Don't think again that these are just permanent decisions, but that temporarily will be not using the gathering space. Further, when we come into the church, the first thing we'll ask you to do is to sanitize your hands. We have what we're calling sanitization stations. I don't want to call it sanitation stations because that's just a completely different thing. But we have sanitization stations that will be periodically set up throughout the pews. So first thing, sanitize your hands. We would ask that everybody bring a mask and be masked for Mass. If you don't have a mask or if you forget one, we will have masks that are available for you. They're present at the church. And then in the pews, we have set it up so that there's at least 2 or 3 pews between each row. So that way we take care of social distancing this way. We have painter's tape in the pews that mark off 6 feet spacing, and also social distancing this way, front and back. And so therefore we don't have to worry about passing germs and so forth. Now, if you're a family, for example, I miss the Olsons. I can't wait to see them. They're always in, I think, pew 2 or 3 on my right side looking out. And I always love seeing the Olsons together as a family. They, of course, can sit together. They don't have to social distance in terms of family members. However, if another family sits next to them or if an individual does, that's where the 6 feet comes in. And so therefore, as a family, by all means, feel free to sit together as a family. You don't have to worry about the social distancing. But if you are not family, we will have the 6-foot spacing in the pews. So, and then after Mass is done, we just would ask you to immediately leave the space. I'm going to be in front of the church before Mass begins, or in the front of the altar, I should say, before Mass begins, just to kind of help people out, because I know it's going to get confusing the first time, just to kind of see where are we supposed to sit, where we're not supposed to sit. So I'll be helping out, and we're going to be doing a retraining session with our church greeters coming up this week. So they'll have the confidence to help you get in and out of the church. And then, lastly, one thing that I would ask that we do is that we've established on our webpage, saintolaf.org, a sign up. And so, therefore, we're going to ask you to sign up to come to Mass. Right now, our capacity for next Sunday will be 80 per Mass. And so, therefore, you can go through and sign up for Mass. Or if you know somebody who may not be technically savvy, they can still call the office, talk to Kathy. Kathy will get them in the system. As I shared before, why 80? Mainly because, one, we have to be at 20% capacity. But two, as I talk with other priests, 80 should be more than enough seating for the people who want to come. Now, what happens if you come for Mass and you don't sign up? I can't guarantee that you'd be able to go to Mass if you don't sign up beforehand. We'd have to wait and see. Are there some people who didn't come? And so therefore you could take the place of somebody who didn't sign up. But if all 80 who come sign up, sadly, you're not going to be able to attend. And so the easiest way to make sure that you can attend Mass next Sunday if you want to is to sign up. To go ahead and go online or call Kathy in the office and make sure that we're signed up. I haven't seen any questions appear in the comment bar yet, and so I presume that I'm being pretty clear with that. So one thing I did not put in the letter, and this really pains not just me, all of us as pastors, and it's hard for Dee Booley. It's hard for a lot of us who love music, and you know that I'm a music nut. But the best science as of right now is encouraging us not to sing during Mass. And it's kind of a disgusting image, but the whole idea is that as you sing, there is a projection of stuff from your mouth that can travel much further than 6 feet. To put it in context, there's actually a lot of discussion right now. Should choral programs in schools continue because of this? So this isn't something that's just being discussed in terms of churches, Catholic and non-Catholic. This is an ongoing discussion for schools, for universities, for professional choral organizations, for professional woodwind organizations, because anything that forcibly projects breath is seen as a potential risk for spreading COVID-19. We will have instrumental music for Mass, but we will, for the short term, and I emphasize short term, not have sung music. And that's hard for me because you all know how I love singing. I probably won't sing the Mass parts. Or if I do, I'll sing Mass parts where there isn't a response by you. So then that way, because if I do my typical thing of singing the opening prayer, you're going to want to go Amen, and that kind of defeats the purpose of not having song. But maybe I might stealthily interject some singing just on my own in a way that's safe, because I know that music is such a part of our community's identity, and I want to find a creative way to express that. Again, this is short term. This isn't permanent. This is the temporary new normal, and with the hopes that once we get a vaccine or once we get a treatment that makes sense, that we'll have a new normal, which is what we remember before, of no restrictions, no need to worry about anything other than just the common sense things that we've always thought of when coming to Mass. We have to be a little bit more safe about it now in light of COVID-19. Tanya, singing in general is sad, but glad we are trying to stay as safe as possible for all. I know, Tanya, it breaks my heart to to have to make that decision. I think we were one of the last parishes to go down on that in the area, because as someone who loves singing, my first thought was, what? I'm just like, are you crazy? Singing is such a part of our identity. And I first heard about this actually from a friend of mine who's a choral director. And I just thought, this really? But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, that's right. If we're supposed to be wearing masks, singing, of course, that's going to project things much further. And then after I went through that process, Steve Woolley, then independent of the conversation I had with the choral director in town, she said to me, Father, this is what I'm reading up on. And he loves music. I love music. And so not using sung music at mass, but instrumental music, that's going to be tough. But we're going to get through this. And I have decided, because I'm going to continue to offer YouTube masses pre-recorded. We're not going to do the live stream, just because. Hey, Tanya, nice to see you. Um, we are going to continue with YouTube masses, but not live stream, but pre-recorded. We were just having so many problems with the live stream that with the system that we had, it's very long and complicated, because some of you have said to me, "Well, Father, when you live stream, there's no problems at all." It's multi-layered in terms of why that doesn't necessarily translate too well. But we will be pre-recording mass. We will have music for the pre-recorded mass. At first, there was a discussion that we had, well, if we're not going to use sung music during Sunday, should we use Sunday sung music on the YouTube videos? And the argument, I saw the logic in both sides, that in, to kind of keep it consistent with Sunday. But then I've just made the decision, and, you call me biased. I love music, and I know there's a lot of parishioners who love music. And so, therefore, for the recorded masses, we will use sung music. So then that way, if you decide to stay home and you love music and you miss music and you're watching mass on YouTube, you can sing in your house to the top of your lungs if you want. And the only one that you'll be potentially infecting with anything of illness will be family members, or you might break their eardrums, whichever one. That's a joke, by the way. I don't condone breaking of eardrums, but I kind of thought that might be in an odd way a pastoral way to approach this for parishioners who really do miss the music and really want the music. They'll have the YouTube pre-recorded mass where we incorporate some music into that, but we won't have sung music during the Sunday mass. The logical question that a lot of people will have with this, Father, how long is this going to be? How long is it that we're going to be limited to 80 people signing up online or calling Kathy to make sure that we can, have a seat to attend mass, social distancing, masks, all that kind of stuff, hand sanitizing. And I said before, the honest answer to that question is really, to be quite frank, until there's a vaccine or until there's a treatment that minimizes the effects of COVID-19. That's what's going to be able to help take that next step to bring our culture, the way we pray, the way we live, back to normal. So, as I've been sharing with people all the time, pray for a vaccine, pray for a treatment, and it's going to take a while for that to be established. But we'll make it through, and we're gonna pray well together. As I said, with all the stuff on restrictions that can come off as negative, I also want to emphasize too, I am so excited to see you all again. I've been home now for 3 weeks, and I miss you all, and not just in terms of my emotions, but just in my spiritual life. As a priest, I was sharing it with the First Communion family I had mass with tonight, with Connor Atkinson and his family, that when I, as a priest, don't have mass with my people, I feel the palpable void. Um, I can feel that sense of I need to be with my people again. And I agree completely with the bishops of the United States and of the world that this was the right path, that this is the decision they should have made. And so I'm not trying to insinuate that I somehow disagree with it, but there is a pain for me, as I'm sure it is for many of you, to have gone through this time. But so I am excited for next week. I'm excited on Sunday at 8:30 and 10:30 to have mass again. Limited, yes. A little bit more simplified, yes. But boy, I can't wait to see all of you. And So with that, I think that kind of lays out pretty much everything. Let me just, because I see a few more people jumped on since I've started. Let me just summarize again. Mass next week, Sunday at St. Olaf, the 14th, 8:30 and 10:30. For now, we're not going to have a Saturday evening mass, and mainly because with the way that we have to sanitize the church, we you need some. We basically, if the Saturday, in order for the Saturday night mass to come back, we would need some volunteers who'd be willing to sanitize the church after the Saturday evening mass. So that would be what we would need, because right now Andrea does a beautiful job with the cleaning of the church. But at the same time, though, too, she's it. And so, therefore, as long as she's the only one that we have sanitizing, then we'll be limited to Sunday morning, 8:30, 10:30. But if you would be willing to be part of a sanitizing crew, by all means, because then we can go back to a full complement of masses of Saturday night and Sunday. But for now, only Sunday, 8:30, 10:30. 20 minutes before Mass, the doors will be open. Sign up online or call Kathy in the office to if you want to come. And those who sign up, those are the people who are to come to Mass. If you come and you didn't sign up, we'll have you wait to see if there's some people who signed up but don't come, and then you can come. But you do run the risk of not potentially not being able to come in for Mass, being that we're limited to 25%. Social distancing will be observed in the pews. We've designated 8:30 pews that will be with some green tape to identify them, 10:30 pews with blue tape to identify them. 6 feet of space. Families can sit together, but we would ask then that there be a 6-foot distancing between the family and the individual. And bring your mask. If you forget one, we'll have some. Hand sanitizer will be provided. Most importantly, pray well. Most importantly, allow your heart to be open to the Lord and rejoice that this time of separation is starting to come to an end. If you have a pre-existing health condition over the age of 65, we would ask you to stay home. You still have every right to stay home, especially if you're feeling sick, stay home. Even if you're young or old or middle-aged, whatever it is, you have every right to stay home if you don't feel ready to come to Mass yet. But with that, I don't see any other comments. And so if anybody has something they want to ask me before I wrap up, go ahead. I'll give you about 20 seconds. Very precise when you have a clock time in front of you. But with that, I think then I'll just start to wrap up my live stream. So thank you very much for your time, and feel free to share this on your Facebook page. I know the letter went out, and the letter goes through a lot of the details, but I figure it would be good for for us as well to just to get this out on Facebook as much as possible, just to clarify what our schedule going forward is. Tanya, you have a question. So is it 65 and older who don't feel well, or can the 65 and older still come? Good question. I would say that if you are 65 or older, or if your neighbor, as you said in your question, is in good health, have them call me and we'll talk about that. It would get kind of confusing if I would kind of go into detail about because there is a process of requesting if you're over 65 and in good health. There is a process that we can take a look at. The easiest way is just have them give me a call, and we can discuss what needs to happen to submit a request for them. So that's a good question. And as I said, the big thing is if they're in good health. She is okay with watching on TV, but I just wanted to be sure. Yep. And so that way, that's a situation where easiest way, just have her call me, and we can talk about that. If she wants to come, there is a process of making a request if you're over 65 to get permission to come. So great question. So any more before I leave? If not, Thank you so much for tuning in. And as I said, I'll see you next Sunday, 8:30, 10:30, or I'll see you online. We'll continue the YouTube masses, pre-recorded, not live streamed, so hopefully take care of some of the problems we've been having. So thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Enjoy your weekend.